Cemeteries. The places we go to fill the ground with our dead. We humans sure have some strange customs, don't we? If you've spent any amount of time in one, it's not hard to see why they are often the backdrop for tales of the supernatural and horror in literature, films, pop culture, and even real life. Flint, Michigan has its own legend about a haunted cemetery, a legend known as Crack the Whip. Flint's Sunset Hills Cemetery is home to many beautiful lifelike statues, like the Generation Bridge, a bronze sculpture of a grandfather seated on a bench, sharing a candy bar with his granddaughter. Creepy, huh? There's also a handful of others, the gardener, the flower girls. You could easily imagine each of these having their own terrifying backstory, but the one that sends chills down the spine of locals is known simply as Crack the Whip. Most everyone native to the Flint area is familiar with the decades-old urban legend, which says the sculpture, named after an old children's game, is haunted. But why? Legend has it that a girl who was playing the game with friends was thrust into traffic and fatally struck by a vehicle. Her grandfather, grief-stricken, made the sculpture to memorialize her death. There are often reports of phantom sounds near the sculpture, like those of children laughing, as well as ghostly moans that emanate from the area at night. Part of the sculpture is a lone sandal, and it is said that if you put your foot in it, you will be the next one to meet your demise. It's a creepy legend, but how much of it, if any, is true? The sculpture, dedicated in 1983, was made by renowned sculptor J. Seward Johnson for $85,000. We figured if anyone knew the origin of the statue, it had to be him. Upon contacting his studio, the Seward Johnson Atelier, we learned that the piece was actually made in 1980. The board of directors at Sunset Hills thought the sculpture would brighten up the cemetery, so they purchased a recasting of it 3 years later. The little girl on the end of the whip in the sculpture is actually an homage to a real person, J. Seward Johnson's younger sister. Both of them are alive today. While the origins of the sculpture may not match up with the legend, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not haunted. Stories like these tend to take on a life of their own and change slightly as they're told from one person to the next. There are still many unanswered questions. Has a malevolent spirit inhabited the sculpture? Is there a curse waiting for anyone willing to slide their foot into the little girl's lost shoe? There's really only one way to find out.